If you have been struggling with having that career, but also being a parent, being a mom, being a dad, then this is for you. You're listening to the You Can and You Will show, a podcast that empowers female leaders, high achievers, female executives, and artists to be confident, to overcome their obstacles, and live that exceptional and successful career and life. My name is Catherine Louise, and I'm a business and mindset mentor and communication expert, best known for mentoring female leaders, executives, and artists so that they can flourish in their career and life. And you can and you will. I'm sitting down to share the tools to create that success and lifestyle and how to make an impact. Hi, and welcome back to a brand new episode here on You Can and You Will with yours truly, Catherine Louise. I'm your host, and I'm so happy to have you back around. And also, I just really want to do a quick shout out to everybody for all of the incredible response to my podcast, to my videos. Thank you so much. It truly means the world. And also, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but I have a new intro, which I'm particularly proud of. I really love it. It's just the nerd in me coming out. I'm not sure if you already know, but I am a mom of 3. So my eldest is 12, my second one is about to turn 10, and then my youngest is 6. And I'm a wife, and we have a dog, and we have that full blast on family life. Also, I have been an entrepreneur and really working on my career for 16 years. So I really know a thing or two, or maybe even 3, about really having that high profile career, but also being a mom, right? And the question which occurs to so many of us every single day is, how do I balance a career and being a mom, being a working parent? And just that question, is a career and being a mom or a parent even compatible to begin with? Does it even work? And still, there are a lot of females in particular who really ask themselves that question. When I really want to have that career, when I'm striving for this career, can I even have children? Is it possible? Is it responsible to have children in my career, in my position? You know, specifically in the executive, in the C-suite, like you really wonder, how would I even make this work? Also being a mom. And I really want to start by saying being a mom is a full-time job. I mean it. I mean, you have that privilege of raising a little human being which loves you so much, which needs you. And that kind of unconditional love, it just really hits different. There's nothing you could just even start to comparing that with. And being a mom, being a parent is the most incredible thing that has ever happened to me. It is a full-time job, but that being said, and I think this is where, a lot of specifically women, let's be honest, really struggle with, is my career, my work is not just quote unquote my career and what I work. It's like I'm not having a 9-to-5, right? For people who I hope you get what I'm saying, but for people who just have that 9-to-5 working, then maybe taking parental leave, coming back, it's a different kind of situation, I almost want to say, because if you're really in a particular position, if you're striving for that career, for the executive, maybe you are already in the C-suite, it's just kind of difficult to leave that position for a longer period of time. Or you might wonder, like, I can't be doing 12, 13, 14 hours a day work no more, which you shouldn't to begin with. But what I'm saying is really struggling with, is it even possible to be a mom and still have my career? Quite honestly, to me, it has never occurred, that question of being a full blast stay-at-home mom. Not because I don't love my kids. I love my kids to death. I love them more than anything. And for years, and actually still do it to this day. I work a lot a lot at night to be able to have more time with them during the day. And while I will try to balance not to share too much of our family life, because I'm doing this episode specifically for you to support you in whatever works for you. I'm not sure if you have noticed, but I'm trying to really make this episode about you, to really emphasize on you and what works best for you and your family, because I truly believe this is what it's all about. Being a mom for 12 years, this is what I can share with you from the bottom of my heart starting this episode, is that truly, when it comes to raising little humans, to having those beautiful little beings, which, by the way, when they grow older, they get kind of noisy. I'm just saying. No, what I'm saying is there is no one size fits all. It's just not happening. What works for that one family, it probably won't work for the other ones. You might wonder, why is that? Well, it's actually kind of obvious, because we're humans, we're all so different. Like, just looking at my 3 kids, for instance, while they're pretty similar in some things, like also their facial expressions, sometimes I'm just laughing so hard, but also when it comes to their characters, they're completely different humans. Like, what is so important to me is that you really understand you do not have to compare yourself or your situation or your family to anybody else. And while it is always certainly a good idea to really take inspiration, like, ooh, what are they doing? Maybe that is working for us. What kind of childcare do they have? Or what kind of childcare did they have the best experience with, right? It is really good to like get that information, get that inspiration, but then also figure what is working best for you and your situation. And I really want to start this topic when being pregnant, because this is typically where you are already a mom. Congratulations. And this is when you probably also get a bit nervous on how to figure it all out, specifically if you want to go back to work, right? And it really also depends so much in what country you're living in. Because I know in the US, there are many corporations actually that do have specific rooms for being able for moms to nurse or breast pump. That is not specifically common for all countries. Second, really having that in-house childcare, because I know that it is so beneficial for moms, especially when they want to come back to work kind of soon, whatever soon means for you, really. To have that offer that they can actually bring their babies with them and being able to nurse them. Because nursing your baby is not just feeding your baby, it really is bonding time for moms as well. So what I'm starting is actually one of the most crucial questions and vital questions when it comes to raising children and having a career is childcare. Childcare is such a crucial topic, not just because you really obviously want to make sure your baby is safe and taken care of and in a good environment. And typically you, depending on where you live, obviously, but you typically have so many different options. Like, you have most of the times a public system, then you also have a private system, maybe even different options within each. But the one thing I have learned is that childcare is not quote unquote just important, obviously, for your baby, for your child or your children, but also for your mind. And by any means, I'm not saying that to put pressure on you. I'm just trying to give you that heads up that you also really need to be very happy with the childcare that you have, so you can actually then focus on your work. Another thing which I really, really want to speak out on is that don't be afraid to figure out when something is not working for you. And I'm not only talking about childcare right now. Obviously, childcare would be one of them, but also like sports or activities, or maybe you have just found that you have changed a certain belief in different topics. Do not be afraid to change. And this is something I really want to stress, is always follow your inner gut, and then also your mom instinct. Because even if this is your first child and you have never had any little humans around you, I just know what I'm talking about. This is why I'm laughing. Just always follow your inner gut and your mom instinct, because you are the expert of your child, nobody else. So again, if you have just figured something, no matter what, is not working for you, do not be afraid to adjust, to try something new, to go a different road, because again, it is important that it is working for you and your child. Another thing which I just cannot emphasize enough on is you surrounding yourself with other parents having the same situation like you, because there is just simply nothing like a tribe. If you are already familiar to You Can and You Will, you hear me say often that you need to surround yourself with people like you, having the same interests, striving towards the same things, because it really makes such a huge difference. But it really becomes vital to parents having a career and having children, because listen, we all know it, especially parents and relatives. They all have a lot of opinions, whatever has been working for them so many years and decades ago will have to work for you, right? You know, those kinds of people. And that can become very, very stressful, especially when, those beliefs might be kind of like 30, 40 years old and not specifically working for you. It can become really stressful on you, and you really don't want to do that. Also, being a parent alone is a thing. Like I said before, being a parent, raising a little human being, it's a full-time job. It is the best job, most rewarding job, but it is a full-time job. And you really want to have people around you cheering you on your team and knowing what you're talking about, because having a career and being a parent is something else, period. That being said, having a mentor in your position, being a mom, having a career, becomes a non-negotiable. I just heard it in an interview the other day again from a really successful male person, but he also said, when he was asked what are the things that really allowed you becoming the person and having that success that you have today, and he named two things. One of them was having a mentor or a coach, because that ongoing, consistent concentration and focus and ongoing feedback as well, just having that support system, nothing can beat that, and nothing could just even come close to that. And especially us moms and us parents, going through all of the things, you just really want to make sure specifically you have that backup system, have that mentor. And in best case, that should be a mentor also having kids, because quite honestly, it is hard and difficult to imagine and really know, know in the core of your being how it is and what you're going through if you don't have kids yourself. It's just, you might be able to imagine it, but you just can't know. It's not possible. The other day, I was having a conversation with a mom talking about how in my very, very humble beginnings, okay, I'm talking like really humble beginnings, I really had to make the crucial decision to either hire a gardener or doing it by myself. And I figured if I have to do it by myself, I would need to do it when my kids are asleep, because back then it was just my two eldest ones now, my two boys, and they were still very small at that time. And I could have only done it while they were sleeping. But while they were sleeping was also my working hours. So if I would have done that garden by myself, it would have taken me 3 of my working days. I hope you can follow me. So 3 of my working days, man, that would have really hurt. And then I was calculating, like seriously calculating, if I hire a gardener doing this for me, is it going to be more expensive than me not working for 3 days? And I really fast came to the conclusion it is much more affordable to me hiring a gardener doing the work for me, so I'm actually able to work. Does that make sense? Can you follow me? And this is seriously how you have to calculate your time. And seriously, this is how you want to calculate, but not just being a parent, but period, right? Like when you do the things yourself, cleaning up the house, doing the garden, whatever, is at the end of the day, specifically when you're not loving it, okay? If you just don't love it, but you know you have to do it, when you do it yourself, is it gonna be at the end of the day more expensive than having somebody do it for you? I have been knowing this kind of basic entrepreneurship knowledge kind of thing, however you want to call it. I've been knowing it, I think, all my life, but it really became a thing I was doing when I became a mom, because this is really when time was so tight and I really need to figure it out. And seriously, no matter how your family looks like, maybe you have a partner, maybe you're a single parent, maybe you're a patchwork family, it doesn't matter how, you will never have to justify that. Just figure out what works best for you. You will hear me say that a whole lot of times during this episode, but again, I really want you to understand that this is about you. Another thing which is a beautiful option, and I know a whole lot of parents doing this, is having a nanny. It is such a beautiful thing if you can do that, especially when your babies are still fairly small, just because they can grow up at home and you still get to work and sort of like really can adjust to their schedule as well. But what I would just love to suggest, while it is so amazing having a nanny, specifically also when they can take care of things like going to soccer plays or ballet or whatever, I would just love for you to hear to not miss out on too many plays or ballet hours or whatever your child loves to do when they grow older, right? Because sometimes it really is that, we're so busy and we're just so happy when everybody is healthy and everybody can do their thing. We can just work in peace, but we need to not forget about those occasions which are really important for our children. Sometimes we don't even know how important it is for them to really us being there. And if it is just a soccer training or football practice or whatever, but sometimes they just need us to be there. And while I know it is sometimes so difficult to incorporate that into your schedule, I would just love to mention that because I see so many parents struggle with this. But sometimes it really is worth, taking that time and going there, because I know from my own experience, this time is never going to come back. You will never have that chance again 10 years from now, right? So I know it is so difficult to have that balance between career and family life, but we also need to try to prioritize certain things in the lives of our children, even if you might not understand how important it is to them. And here's the thing about childhood, which I have figured out for my children, and I see it, but I also know it from my own childhood. Childhood is that foundation we all have in life. During the first 7 years of our life, and this is a scientifically proven thing, it's not just a beautiful idea, but it's a thing, it's a given fact that during our first 7 years is when our entire programming of our mind, of our subconscious happens. Meaning, what we believe to be true, right or wrong, is happening mostly at that time. And it makes such a difference how we grow up and what's surrounding. Do we feel safe? Do we feel loved? And nobody but us parents can supply that kind of love. It is the most beautiful thing to have, those kind of loving friends and family around you and your family. But also remember, nothing could ever substitute that love and hug and attention from a mom and a dad. What I have learned from being a mom of 3 and a wife for 12 plus years is also nobody will ever get 100% of what they want. I wouldn't even know how that is possible. Like, I cannot be, that being said, I cannot be maybe at every occasion, right? It's just not possible. But do I try to make it as often as possible? Damn thing. I do, because I know it is important for my child. I know it is important for me, even if I'm stressed out and all of the things, even if I'm sitting there sometimes with my laptop working while they have that tennis lesson. But I do know how my children will look if I see how they were playing tennis and how happy they are when they see mommy is paying attention, right? Like, nobody will ever get 100% of what they want. I think it is fairly not possible in the families, but it is always trying to make it work as much as possible for everybody so everybody can thrive and be happy. But I also know families, the parents having corporate careers, being in the executive, who then come home at a certain time at night and really make sure they're present for that bath time, they're present for that dinner, and also then taking the kids to bed, reading them, and all of the things. I have figured in all of those years, no matter how your family routine looks like, I think it is more so about how you spend that time together, that really quality family life. That is so much more important and important to your children than how many hours you spend. Obviously, they all would love for you to be there all of the time. But what I'm saying is, it is much more important that that time that you spend together, that you get to be together, spend it wisely, spend it with intention, spend it with something that you all really love and something you just enjoy doing together. Because I truly believe that at the end of the day, that time that you have together makes all of the difference. One last thing I really want to say, and again, stress, is you do not have to communicate and specifically justify whatever is working for you with anybody else. And by anybody, I seriously mean all of the family and people who just seem to know it better. If you are lucky enough to have found a system, a family life, a schedule that works for you and your babies and your partner, or no matter how your family looks like, right? If you have found something that works for you, congratulations, because it's an ongoing thing. Then your children will go from kindergarten to school. Then maybe you change position in your corporation. Maybe you start working at a whole new corporation. Life is an ever evolving and changing, beautiful thing. And just trust yourself enough that you will figure it out. You will adjust and always be able to figure out what is working best for your family. That's why I said you don't have to feel like you would have to communicate everything, because if this kind of sharing what is working for you ends up being you having to justify that, it's just not even worth it. I truly, truly hope this episode was able to encourage you to understand that whatever you feel like is the best for you and your family, just go ahead and do it. Try to figure it out. Don't be afraid to readjust. And, if things are not working, that's fine. Just go ahead and change it. And I just really want to encourage you doing you and not anybody else. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you in my next episode. Bye.